Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. I hope you're all doing great. It is Monday night, April 8th. If you looked up earlier today and took in the eclipse, I hope you did it with safety glasses. This is going to be a brief recap of two recent auctions that wrapped up in the last few days. This is my second video of these in as many weeks. After this week, I might give it a break for a little bit, but we'll see how this goes. I find it interesting just to track auction houses, like their regular like weekly auctions, or maybe not the ones that you get the catalogs in the mail for. Just as kind of another avenue for looking at cards and seeing what's out there and maybe what's trending a little bit, or what might be hot on at a particular time. Or anything else for that matter. But without further ado, I'm going to share a few lots here. Got them all queued up, and we're going to start with on Thursday last week, April 4th. There was a Huggins and Scott spring auction that wrapped up, and I'm going to show a few lots from here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to start with a 1954 Bowman Mickey Mantle in an SGC3. Sold for $1,320 with 33 bids. We're going to show what on VCP each of these are averaging for. And as you can see here, SGC3 averaging $1,026. See if I can stop with the blur there. So Mantle did quite well at this auction. It's a really nice example. Sold for at least 25% higher than what it's averaging for on VCP. So real nice centered copy there. Another auction lot I was tracking was the 1952 Topps Eddie Matthews rookie card. It's such a this card is like, it's talked about, of course, but at least in videos that I watch, it's almost like not talked about maybe as much as it should, because it's such an elusive card. I'm guessing that's why, because it's the final card in the historic set, number 407, high number, and for that reason, I mean, it just adds so much more of a premium to his to his rookie card. And so this is an example of a VGEX4 PSA. It's quite off center left. It had 32 bids and sold for $5,640. These prices I'm citing are with the buyer's premium, I should add. And on VCP, Mr. Matthews in a 4 PSA is actually averaging about $6,000. So it was actually a kind of a slightly below average result there for Eddie, probably because of that centering. But I thought it was just an interesting auction to track for the reason I just mentioned, where it's just I don't see that many examples of Matthews rookie card shared on videos on YouTube. And again, it's got to be just because it's such an elusive card to get, which to me is kind of adds to the interest and almost fascination with this card. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, I want to track this one. And so it did underperform a little bit. Probably the centering had something to do with it, but still, $5,600, $5,600 for that card is quite a number in my opinion. The next lot, Huggins and Scott, I was tracking, is another rookie card I don't see kind of talked about or shared all too often, among YouTube content creators. It's Luis Aparicio's rookie card from 1956 Topps, and really his rookie card, I mean, his card here in this set is kind of the premier rookie card in this set. It's not a great set for rookies, although it's an amazing set overall, of course. This was a nice example, so I thought I'd track it in an SGC7, a near mint. I'll actually click this one up. I mean, it's a beauty. Really well centered and just a strong example there. So it went for $270. And before I even show what the VCP average is, I mean, I thought about putting a bid in for this one. I almost did, but I didn't. But it ended up selling for $270 with buyer's premium. And an SGC7 right now is going for about $338. So it actually underperformed by quite a bit in this auction for that nice of an example. So I wasn't necessarily like second guessing myself, because it's a card I don't really quote unquote need to have, but it would certainly be nice to have. Hall of Fame shortstop, one of the best defending shortstops in the 20th century, and that's a nice deal for a card that nice, in my opinion. So thought I would share that one. And then two more lots I was tracking here in Huggins and Scott's auction. There was a 1887 N28 Allen and Ginter King Kelly. That was one of the featured cards in this auction. That was in an SGC 6. And I decided not to track that one, and I actually don't know how it fared in the end. But I thought I would track this 1.5 because, I mean, you look at it, it looks fantastic for a 1.5. I'm going to show the back. The back's got paper loss issues here, but really not that bad. I mean, all things considered, this is a beautiful example, I thought. So I thought I would track this, not for bidding, but just because it's way beyond a budget for me. But it sold for $2,760. I just think the colors on this are great. And a all-time great 19th century Hall of Famer. So it went for $2,760. In an SGC 1.5 is averaging these days, look at that, it's averaging $3,600, which to me kind of sounds like an outlier. I am going to click on this one and sort of show, and it kind of is an outlier, as in there was only one copy of SGC sold last year at this price. The PSA number actually is about that much as well, though, but this underperformed also. So, if you were shopping around for a King Kelly A&G, here's one that kind of, went under what it's been averaging, and apparently a nice deal could have been had for this, given the extent of the paper loss on the back, which to me is acceptable, very acceptable for a card that looks otherwise quite good. So I thought that was an interesting one to not just follow, but then kind of share with you after it ended. And then the last Huggins and Scott auction I was going to share here is actually a fun lot, in my opinion. A whole bunch of 1978 Topps unopened cello packs, 27 of them actually. And it's got some Hall of Famers on the front, including Brett and Yount and Ryan. Here's another picture of a stash of them, just 27 cellos, just super cool in my opinion. 1978, of course, is my favorite set of Topps. It had 50 bids, 50 total bids starting at $300. Look where it ended up, $3,240 with the buyer's premium for those cello packs. So I don't collect unopened. I can't hold, if I have, a hobby box handy, it's going to get ripped at some point. That's just kind of the way I am, or collect, I guess. So yeah, if you manage to collect unopened, more power to you. But I thought that was just a really fun one to track, and yeah, look what it went for. I don't know if that's a good price or not. To me, it sounds like a pretty healthy price, but especially given there were 50 bids on it. So, but I thought I would share that one. And then I'm going to share a few lots from the Heritage auction that wrapped up last night, starting with this 1934 Gaudy Jimmy Fox, 1.5. He's an all-time great slugger. And, here's another guy, in my opinion, maybe I'm not watching the right videos, but I don't see his cards shared that often. I mean, of course, they're hard to come by. They're not cheap, as evidenced by this 1.5 that went for $372 with the buyer's premium. Let's see how that's faring currently in average. SGC 1.5, averaging about 326. So Jimmy Fox had a pretty good night in that auction last night. Outperformed it by about $50. Almost $50, but well over 10%, 10-15% over average. And it's a pretty, I don't want to say beat up copy, but this 1.5 is definitely a 1.5. It's a little rough here. Got creasing there, and I think another one over here. So, and some staining up here. So this is a definite 1.5, you could see. And it did quite well. So it just kind of speaks to, the popularity of Jimmy Fox. His greatness endures. And another lot from Heritage I wanted to share. This card really jumped out at me when I was just going through the listings. To me, this is a beautiful Yogi Berra from 1951 Bowman. Just a great image of a young Yogi with that smile, and a real nice SGC5. Very well centered, a smidge up to the top, but left right looks really good. Just to me, a really fine example. Let me see if I can get the back here. Back looks very nice as well. Went for $456. And then we're going to see how that matches up with VCP, recent average, or SGC5, 402. So Yogi had a good night as well, by over 10%. So, yeah, about 10-12% better than recent average. So and I could see why, because that's just a really, really nice card. It immediately jumped out at me as one to track, even though I knew I wasn't, almost certainly not going to put a bid on it, but I was curious to see how high it would go, and it went at a pretty nice price there, for the seller, that is. One last lot I was going to share here, in terms of how it did. 1956, Topps Roberto Clemente, his second-year card, SGC4. It's a white back, and it's a beauty. It's a really nice copy, really nice centering. Let me pull up the back here really quick. Really nice back. This is just a really clean card for a 4. Looks great. And the bidders responded accordingly. It went for $516. I hope, if anything, if the price on this wasn't really catching on some of the other ones, I apologize. I've actually been looking almost exclusively at my laptop and not so much on the phone here. Hopefully you're being able to at least see the price as well for the majority of these and not just hearing them from me. But if we have $516, and let's see what SGC4 for Mr. Clemente has been going for. Look at that, $384.75. And a PSA 4 has been averaging 442. So this thing just knocked it out of the park last night. And you could see the price right here, the 516 right there, is already reflected as the highest recent sale for an SGC4. So this Clemente hit a home run, deservingly so. Great card. I honestly would love to have this card someday. I could see myself maybe someday stretching and going for this card even more than the rookie, the 55 rookie. The 55 rookie is a classic and amazing, but it is so up there in terms of price. But the second-year card is just such a nice card too. So love that jumping, leaping catch he's making there with the wall behind him. So just that's just, to me, a classic card from the decade. And I went for a really strong price last night. Two last little pages I'm going to share here. Here is the one lot I actually did put a bid on last night on Heritage. Didn't win. Thought about continuing it during extended, but I didn't. And I'm in the end, I'm glad I didn't. This was a 2-card lot of 1933 Gaudi Tony Lazzeri in an SGC2, and a 1934 Gaudi Frankie Frisch, also in an SGC2. So a pair of deuces here of 2 Hall of Fame greats. I really like to me, the interest for me in this lot was the Lazzeri. I love this card. And I have recently added it to my VCP want list. This would be a really cool card to get someday. And my thought was, if I did follow through with this, and if I would have even won it, I would have looked to sell the Frisch, and keep the Lazzeri and kind of cut into over the overall cost, and then see what I would have ended up paying for the Lazzeri. In the end, I'm not going to share with their respective VCP averages right now, but in the end, the 288 final price for the lot was maybe $10 to $20 under what they're kind of averaging as a whole together on VCP. So it wasn't like 288 was a decent deal under what it's been averaging together, but not by a lot. If it was, if the winning bid was closer to like 220 or something before the buyer's premium, or maybe 200, I think I was thinking of maxing out at, and it went above that. So I just sort of checked out of this one. But it was something that was on my mind for a bit. I thought about jumping in a little bit more for fully on it, but it's overall I thought it was a pretty nice lot there. So wanted to share that, and then lastly, I'm just going to share this image. You probably know full well about this, the highlight of the whole weekend in terms of the auction scene for baseball memorabilia. It was this incredible Type 1 photograph of Mickey Mantle, the image used for the 1951 Bowman rookie. I'm actually going to zoom back out here so we can sort of take it in a little bit more. If I can do that, here we go. It went for $843,750. What a performance for this! And it's just a one of a kind practically. Might not be an exact one of a kind, but turned out it was part of a stash of photos from a former member of the 1952 Yankees named Jack Kramer. I believe it was his last year in the majors. He was a pitcher. And there's a really interesting story about it on Heritage's website that kind of talks all about it. Just a fantastic find. And there was another Mantle photo from here that actually is used for the Dandy potato chips Mantle from '54. That original photograph sold for over $20,000. But yeah, that card just, that photograph, just a stunner. Just to kind of see the picture itself that the card is based on. So just looking at it is kind of a little, from a baseball history fan's point of view, this is like kind of a gift just to see this image like this. So wanted to wrap it up just showing this, and if you followed along with me all the way through, I thank you very much. Again, I hope you find these little auction house recaps interesting. I'll probably put a pause on them for a little while, maybe until after the Strongsville show, and then maybe pick these up again and just keep tracking the auction houses and seeing how some interesting cards are faring on that platform. So with that, take care everybody, and I'll see you on the next video.